Hello and welcome to Fiona's Creative Canvas. Today I'm going to be doing an abstract art piece and I'm going to try out this Stay Wet Handy palette. I've got my acrylic paints in here. I've got titanium white, Prussian phthalo blue, Payne's grey and yellow ochre, and I'm going to try and keep my palette fairly simple. But I've also got some texture here. This is a texture paste that I used a while ago. It's got some sand in it, and I've also made up some half modeling paste and half joint compound, so I want to add in a bit of texture to this piece. So let's start with the sandy bit. Like many of my paintings, this one started without a plan, but you'll see how the vision starts to unfold. Let's start something like that. Not quite the center, just down a little bit. I've got out this paddle brush. I'm just going to wet that. And I'm going to just spread on some colors. Let's bring a little bit of that blue in. I only want a very small amount of that. See, that's too much. Kind of want a blue grey. So let's grab some of the Payne's grey as well. Let's grab some more white. And I'm just going to keep bringing in the white because I really want to lighten that. I also wanted to bring some of the yellow ochre up here, but I can layer things up, so. I think I will bring in a bit of the warm grey. I did wonder about that earlier, but now I really do think I want that colour in there. I'm gonna have to wait for this to dry to go over that. All right. Okay, so I've let this dry for a couple of hours and that doesn't feel too bad now. I covered up my paint so it's still wet. And I'm trying to decide which direction to take this. I used this brush in my last painting and I kind of like the smoky effect it gave it. Let's start with that. A little bit of grey in there. That's not really working. I think it's too wet. I need something dry. Maybe I would use this brush. Adds a bit of scratchiness to it. Don't know. Add a little bit of that in as well. Just want to change the colour a bit. All right, I do want to bring in some of this Prussian phthalo blue, but let's make it liquidy. Do need to get this line right. Kind of like that. Right, so I've got sort of the basics down. I want to bring in a palette knife though. I want to go over it. Let's try this. I was going to bring in a bit of a thicker texture with my modelling paste and joint compound mix. So let's add a bit of that in. Not sure if it was the direction I was going to head. Okay, this is dry, but there's a couple of things I want to do. Firstly, I want to fix my line, so let's see how straight it is. I'm just going to do some little touch-ups. It's not too bad. There might be some bits that I haven't covered, but this has worked well because it's the next day. I just covered this one with plastic. But the other couple of things I want to do is I want to lean into this rocky texture and have a little bit sitting above the horizon line. And I also want to see if I can kind of make a bit of splash over the rocks. Not white, but just a fraction off colour. I think that's almost right. Just kind of blend that in a bit. Okay, hopefully that looks all right. I mean, I didn't really do anything down this end. Yeah, I'm happy with that. This is my rock. Might just add a little bit more Payne's grey to it, make it a little darker. Just gives it a little bit of height there. I like that. I think that's lifted the piece a little bit. Now I want a little bit of this white texture. No, too much. Not sure about those bits. Because it's dry, I can take those off. Slightly different colour in the cloud there. Bring in a few layers. Okay, so I do really like this, but it feels very flat. I thought about bringing some birds in. I've only tried to paint a little bird in one of my abstracts once and I ended up painting over it. So I got quite nervous about it. I took a photo, went onto the computer and took it in Photoshop and started playing around with where I would put birds and things like that. I thought that was probably the safest way to go about it. So I've actually printed out what my final plan was, and I'm going to see if I can trace them on. The biggest issue here is trying to make sure that they don't look like they've just been plonked on. Basically, I'm going to have seagulls. I've got, how many have I got? I've got 6 altogether, but I've got to make sure that they look like they were meant to be in the piece all along. So that's the challenge here. So let's try this one first. If that worked, it's just to give me a bit of an idea of where they're going, and then when I paint it, I'll try and get it a bit better then. Let's see how that goes. Can just make out the lines. And then I've also got one up in the sky. So this one's going to go up here. Okay, cool. It's quite nerve-wracking. I don't want it to be too detailed because the rest of the painting isn't detailed. It would look a bit odd, I think. And I want these colours. I might add in this for the legs. I think that might work. Don't need much of it. Shall I put in the white first? I think if I use this big brush, it'll blend in more. But there was something I did notice when I was making stuff, that there's a bit of a waterline, which I really liked in the photo that I was looking at. And I might just try and add that in. Something like that. Cool. Hopefully that'll be kind of noticeable later. I think I need a smaller one just for a little bit of detail. I'm going to do the shadows on the ground next. Let's try that colour. It needs more white. It looked like. Then when I put it on there, okay. I think we need a little bit of this sort of brown grey. Is on this wing here. Got to get some greys in there. but stands out a little bit more. Okay, here is the final result. And what started out as an abstract turned into a seaside scape. So as I added the blues up the top and kind of put that yellow ochre down the bottom and started on this line, this became a horizon line, and then yeah, everything else just kind of followed. Then the rocks from the texture, have a look at this texture. And I love the clouds in the sky as well. It's like the light's hitting them. You know, there's some soft cloud, but there's also like, you know, wispy kind of cloud. And then there's a bit more defined cloud, which I really like. The birds aren't overly detailed. And I'm not unhappy with the way the birds came out. I had to darken my colour around them a bit because it was a bit too sort of white next to white and they were a little bit difficult to see. I really liked adding this shoreline. Just makes it look a bit more realistic with waves sort of coming in to the sand. So yeah, a really different one for me. I hope you like it. I'm so happy I got the chance to do some seagulls because I've wanted to do them for a while and I just been putting it off, I guess. And this painting just seemed like it needed the birds. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like this style of painting, or would you like me to head back more to the abstract type stuff? So yeah, that's it for this one, and I shall see you all in the next one. Bye.